Hey Mad Kiddies, it's the Mad Kid coming to you from the Man Cave for another Mad Kid Man Cave moment. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hasbro's Electronic Rebel Blaster and comparing it to its Master Replica's counterpart. How are the details? Is it worth your 20 bucks? We're going to find out next on Mad Kid's Man Cave moment. Well, here we've got them side by side, Master Replicas, Hasbro. You know, it was a charge back a few years ago when Hasbro finally put out another Star Wars gun in their role-play toy arsenal. And for cosplayers, especially like myself, to have a different blaster weapon at our disposal, especially for Rebel customers. At any rate, when it came out, it was in this color scheme, and it kind of lacked, but the detail is there. It definitely is recognizable as a Star Wars blaster. Of course, they've since reissued it in a closer to screen accurate, a gray color scheme. I think everybody painted their blue ones to more closely resemble the one on screen. But Master Replicas was first to the plate with their beautiful DL-17, and of course this companion piece to the E11 that they put out around the same time. Both guns, of course, based off the same British Sterling submachine gun of the World War II era. It was easy for them to do. But how does the Hasbro that we're reviewing today really stack up? We're not going to know until we get them out of the box. So let's do that and have a look at them side by side. Okay, our first shot doesn't really do us any justice at this distance, but you get the impression with this perspective that they are of the same size, or at least very close. But they're not. Not exactly. Let's eliminate old blue and get closer to just the two others. Up closer, you can better see that there's a bit of difference to the length. In this photo, I inadvertently lined up the front of both blasters, and as you trace it back, you can see the offset in the grip, the scope, and lastly the butt of the gun, easily over an inch shorter than the prop replica. Now the arrows I've inserted show you where Hasbro cut off some of the unnecessary length, having shifted the ejection chamber back and shortened both the barrel and scope rail, cutting roughly an inch off the length of the barrel without sacrificing any of the aesthetic of the blaster. And here, on the butt end of the blaster, where they trimmed just a bit of length, but pulling the end in, and very nearly aligning the back of the scope with the end cap, whereas on the prop, these two features are definitely offset. Now, onto the meat of this review. Let's change our focus from the minor changes they made and talk about everything they got right, which is a lot. Note all the detail here on the prop, the scope itself, the thumb screws that hold it in place, the scope rail it rests on, the barrel, the butt cap, the grip, trigger, and the ejection chamber previously mentioned. And now see how all of those elements and the greeblies or details that are present on all these parts of the prop are also present on the toy. Amazing. There is one difference. Did you catch it? The extended housing above the trigger on the prop replica has been cleverly left off the toy, and somehow without sacrificing any of the length on the grip, and again without losing any of the aesthetic of the blaster. Ironically, the Hasbro E11 we've been getting since '78 does have a drop-down section above the trigger, whereas the actual E11 does not. Weird, huh? Moving forward, more comparisons, but less of them to take in. At this perspective, you can see the greater amount of real estate in the barrel length. Noticeable as the scope seems pushed forward on the toy in this perspective, but also notice the cooling vanes on the front of the barrel are all there on both the blasters. I didn't count them, but it looks like they're all there. Again, nice work, Hasbro. Flipping them over, the same level of attention to detail on Hasbro's part. Now that I've lined them up by the grips and triggers, you can more easily see the length difference, front and back, especially where the scope rail is concerned. Yet, everything, from the bump out behind the clip chamber, to the safety switch behind the trigger, to the rectangular thingy with the two circle holes on the back of the scope rail, all there on both. Obviously, Hasbro had to add the mechanism to make it a fireable Nerf gun. That's the weird ringed pull lever here extending out the back of the blaster, but hey, we'll forgive them that. It is still a kid's toy. And it's fun to shoot, too. Make sure you get one that does. The other blue one I got never worked. This one, thankfully, does. With the one on top of the other, the differences in length and scalables becomes more apparent. The scope rail, the barrel length, the slightly shorter butt on the Hasbro, the relationship of where the clip chamber is to the front end of the scope. Yet the scope itself is scaled exactly the right size, even if it is a little colorful on the toy. Look at this shot. They even got the notch right on the butt cap. The Star Wars logo, Rebel insignia, and model number of the blaster written in the Star Wars universe's script of Orabesh are nice touches, even if they do often get painted over. Flipping them back around again, stacked one on the other, all the detail features, knobs, thumb screws, screw holes. Hasbro captured them. One nice addition, they gave the kiddies a 2-dart clip mounted just below the center of the scope. Looking forward, everything about the front of the blaster just looks right, even if it is shortened a bit. Correctly painted, everything looks even better. Pulling back again, the apparent size difference shows, yet when the Hasbro is all by itself, no one knows the difference. Not even Star Wars fans. So in conclusion, is Hasbro's DH-17 worth your scratch? Absolutely, without question. There's enough detail and enough play value and enough cosplay value. Cosplay value is uber high, because for those of you that don't know your Star Wars backwards and forwards like some of us do, it's not just the weapon of the Rebel Trooper and a great many Rebel officers, but it's also the standard sidearm of many, many Imperial officers and Imperial characters in the Star Wars universe as well. So it is a must-have if you're a Star Wars cosplay enthusiast. It's definitely worth picking up for 20 bucks if you find it on sale, even more so. Like I did, that's why I've got two. Anyway, so the DH-17 by Hasbro, a must-buy, especially for cosplay enthusiasts. Well, that's it for this segment of MadKid's Man Cave Moment. Thanks for stopping by. Three, two, one. So in conclusion, alright, hey dude. Well, that's going to do it for this MadKid. Jaina, you threw me off my game. I was rolling. Take 4.